Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm Sal. It's DJ Woolridge, everybody. Woo!
Whoa,
Welcome back,
hello.
man. Oh,
Thank you
man.
for
If you don't know
having me.
DJ, you should by this point. Only Stupid Answers, and
Yeah.
also a litany of shows
Yes.
that may or may not have my face attached to some of them.
Who's to
Krypton
say? There's only
Academy.
one way to find out, and that's to click on things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Click those links in the description and in the comments down below. It'll take you right to the DJ infrastructure. And that includes a whole bunch of shows that we make, including Mutant Academy, Spider-Versity, Krypton Academy, and so much more.
Yep.
Check those out if you are of a mind. But today we're going to give you a little bit of a soupçon of what it's like to talk about Superman with DJ, because the Superman trailer has dropped. We talked all about that. It's one of the highest performing videos on this channel's history.
Dude, I
I'm
was
very
I
pleased
was
with.
gonna ask you, man, because you will not be surprised. You and I did a little discussion about it as well,
We did indeed,
and you will
yes.
not be surprised to learn that it's also one of the best hitting channels on my video. No, it is the best hitting video on my channel, which is a little bittersweet
Yeah,
for reasons you and I have discussed previously.
absolutely, absolutely. But I mean, hey, listen, if we can hit new heights now, that means that those heights can be hit
This exactly,
as we
they're
go.
achievable. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That means that potential audience exists.
Yeah.
You know. So let's hope that not only does some of that audience stick around, on both of our respective channels
Yeah.
to watch the gold, the magic that is made here, but also that this gravy train with a red cape
Yes.
and Underoos can keep paying dividends for the rest of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's give us another listen. Give us another. Marvel gave us a good 10 years. Give us a good 10 years. Come on.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, we were all hoping that Marvel was just going to never stop being great and
Yeah.
exciting.
Uh-huh.
And I'll trade it for as excited as I was 10 years ago with Marvel for DC.
Yes. Uh-huh. Well, there
If
may
I just go, oh, and I got to see another Hulk movie at some point,
Yeah, well, oh, dude, I've been thinking about that with Brave New World, which is like
Mm.
this is cool because especially there's like art of the leader
The leader,
and
yeah.
stuff like that, and it's cool because he looks like the leader. I'm like, yep. And it's
Yep.
like this is cool. Would it have been cool if this was a Hulk movie? Would it have been cool?
I mean, it is. I mean, how could you make a movie about Red Hulk and the leader and not put the Hulk in it? I mean, maybe the Hulk is in it.
Yeah, it's just weird that there's not even been like a rumor of Ruffalo like showing up at all. And on the one
No.
hand, if I derailed you, is this the conversation? Are we doing what we're supposed to be doing, or did I
We are
derail you?
doing what we should be
Okay,
doing.
cool.
I think this is what people come to see, folks,
Um,
is us kinda going off the rails a little bit.
in
That's
some
certainly my
ways,
brand.
yeah, in some ways it's smart. It's something I think they should have done more with. DC should do more with Batman because
Yeah,
Batman has all the good bad guys, and so it's like
yeah,
you can farm some of those out. So like originally before it was Battinson, it was Batfleck, and they're like
yeah.
he's going to fight Deathstroke. It's like Deathstroke can fight Green Arrow and the Teen Titans. Batman has enough.
Damn right.
he's he's got enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Similarly, it's like Sam Wilson's Cap, as far as I know, doesn't have any bad guys that are iconic to him.
No,
And so it's like, well, we can't. I think they still can't make Hulk movies without Universal being involved. I don't know the
that's right.
rights issues with that.
That certainly seems to be the conjecture. Everyone seems to be like, well, look, if they could, they would, right? I
Yeah,
mean, at this point, just make a damn Hulk movie. It was out, like, when the Incredible Hulk movie dropped, it was coming out at the same time as like Iron
same
Man and
year.
Hulk. You could have done a double feature
That
when those movies came out.
that was back in the day where you could get RDJ to do a cameo in one of these Marvel movies without having to back up the entire money truck. You could have
Yeah,
grabbed a couple stacks from the back and thrown them away. Now it's like the
seriously.
whole kit and caboodle. But
Now he's got to have to play a character he has no business playing if you want to bring him back to do
so
that.
it's like, okay, so Sam doesn't have any guys that are his. We can position Thunderbolt Ross as president. Captain America fighting the president that's something. That's a thing.
That's something. Yeah, that's an idea.
And I will say there is something a little bit more compelling to me about um, what does Sam Wilson without Super Soldier Serum Cap fighting a Hulk look like, as opposed to what does Hulk A fighting Hulk B look like? It's like, well, we've seen that.
That I mean that is the first and every Hulk movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Is just what if Hulk fought another gamma
Another
radiated
Hulk.
beast?
But the wrinkle is I'm actually much more interested in having Sam Wilson Cap fight Red Hulk. Cool, I'm down with that. I probably
Sure.
would have sat on that for maybe like a Wolverine movie with Hulk in it, but whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Um, the leader. It's like I want to see Mark Ruffalo fight the leader. I wanna
I
see
want to
that.
see Mark Ruffalo actually deal with his own rogues. Like,
Yeah,
I would love for Bruce Banner to actually deal with Bruce Banner threats as opposed to him whether or not he'll be able to have children with Black Widow or whether he's
yeah, yeah,
able to
yeah, yeah.
fight the Wanda Maximoff of it all. Like, there's
What
there's
a
nothing
weird.
there for me. It's
Yeah.
it's cool, but like I'd love to see Ruffalo act
Well, and
against
especially
his villains.
it's tough, dude. It's tough because, we keep trying to make Hulk work because there was a successful Hulk TV show for a long time.
Yep.
And so people know Hulk and the template is there. And for some reason we keep whiffing it.
Yeah.
And you were probably in the same boat as me when you're seeing the first Avengers movie for the first time. And
Oh,
you're like, we cracked it.
yeah.
Get this guy, this Ruffalo kid, get him
Yeah.
in his
Get
own.
this 35-year-old kid
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Get
have
him in
him.
his own, play the Lonely Man theme, get in his own little road movie as the Hulk, and we got the guy, but we don't got the
Yeah.
movie, and it's like, well, that's a bummer.
It is a bummer, especially because it's like, look, at the end of the day, for me, and we'll get to Superman in just a second, but
Yeah.
like, I don't love the Hulk, and I especially don't love Hulk stories because,
Mhm.
especially when it comes to Hollywood, it's like, well, the tragedy is that he doesn't want to be the Hulk, and I'm like, that is so boring and so
Yeah.
uninteresting to me. But Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the cartoon show that was essentially the Justice League Unlimited
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah,
Marvel,
yep.
cracked it where it's like, oh, make the leader an Avengers threat.
Yeah,
Make the Abomination an Avengers threat.
mm,
Hulk is the specialist,
yeah,
but the Avengers deal with it. Like if that was going to be the formula, our non-tentpole Avengers movies were going to deal with Hulk threats.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That would have been very okay. I
yeah,
would have been very because every movie I saw with Hulk in it, which is to say two,
2, yeah.
the two actual movies with Hulk in the title, those are boring and would have been improved vastly by having a Captain America or an Iron Man show up in them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Or if we, yeah, the 2 Hulk movies are weird because on the one hand, the Ang Lee one is more interesting in hindsight.
It
It's
is,
more
and
interesting.
and stacked cast,
Yeah.
unbelievable cast
But
of the
the
Hulk movie.
Incredible Hulk one is the one you want, is the one, I
Yeah,
want him to fight the Abomination. What are we doing?
exactly. What are we doing? Yeah, no, don't fight a cloud monster that is also his dad.
The dad stuff, man. It's like
Oof.
yeah. And
At
2,
least it's Nick Nolte, and it's
at
like,
least it's Nick Nolte and doing a good. I rewatched that within the past couple of years. I don't remember when,
yeah,
but Nick Nolte doing
he's
great
doing some
work.
good work.
And I find the Hulk is one of those that is, sorry, gang. The Superman's on the thumb. I can guarantee it, but we'll get there. But Hulk's one of those. I remember seeing the first Avengers and like being like, oh, I want to be Captain America. I'm more
Yeah.
of a Hulk. I'm a grumpy Gus. I'm more of a Hulk. More of a Hulk. And so there's something there that, yeah, it's just interesting
Like
how.
taps into the audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just there's something that you can make a really great Hulk movie, and I don't know why we haven't, especially
Mhm.
considering again that of the characters, weirdly, Hulk is the one with at the time when we first started this whole MCU project, he's the one with kind of the more cultural cachet outside of your Spider-Man and your X-Men because he had the
Yes.
show.
Yes.
Yeah, and we kind of got we got a She-Hulk, and it's like you're kind of getting the Hulk family. You're almost
Yeah.
there. Whatever, man.
Yeah,
I'm
unfortunately, it's really divisive, so it's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it
but I'm
doesn't work as
excited for
well.
Brave New World because again, the trailers, segue trailers, trailers are all about vibe, and the vibe of Brave New World is like, "Hey, you remember Winter Soldier?" And I'm like, "I do." And I
Yes.
liked Winter Soldier, so if that's what we're going for, I'm in, sign me up.
Yeah, that's true, that's
Yeah.
true. But yeah, man, so, like, we have this trailer for Superman, or teaser, I guess, because I can't parse what the movie's about, although I'm sure there have been scores of YouTube channels that are breaking down
Yeah, yeah.
point by point by plot point, what the movie is, in the same way that Prometheus fans did the exact same thing
Same
when that
thing.
trailer came out.
Is
And weren't they all wrong about that? Certainly
isn't
I was.
is that the
Uh,
distinction between a teaser and a trailer? A teaser tells you nothing, a trailer tells you something. Because at this point, I don't know. This is
I
like a 2-minute quote unquote teaser. It's like, that's a trailer, man. That's a trailer.
it straight up is a trailer. I
Yeah.
think now they've changed the language under our noses,
Yeah.
where a teaser will tease the plot, a trailer will tell you the story.
Okay, and now trailers come with, like, mini trailers because they're gonna be ads in front of a YouTube video,
Because
so
they're gonna
like,
be ads.
"Hey."
It's it was so demoralizing to explain that to people. Like, oh, by the way, like the reason why that horrible like three
Mhm.
second teaser for the teaser you're gonna watch is for YouTube ads specifically.
Yep.
It's exactly the length of time before the skip button appears.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yep.
Like, what?
Welcome.
Okay,
You're welcome.
cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Now you know.
Yeah.
At least they don't do it in the theater,
You think
but they
it's so
do.
stupid.
Can you imagine?
Oh, that'd be so
Just
dumb.
and then you're like, "What the hell?" And then
Yeah.
the trailer starts, and you're like,
Did you
"All right,
not
cool."
you guys couldn't cut that off? Alright, whatever. I guess cutbacks
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. Have you are you caught up with Creature Commandos?
You know what? I think I'm an episode behind. I think
Mhm.
in the most recent one, I've been seeing headlines, we get a little glimpse of an animated Batman's is
Yes,
that is
yes,
my
he appears
understanding?
for a tenth of a second. If you
Yeah.
saw the image, that's exactly as much frame of anima it's exactly as much
Gotcha.
animation as was required
And people
for
have
Batman.
decided that this is the definitive this is what definitively tells us that Battinson's not in it, even though I don't animation's a different medium. Their
Yeah.
continuity's the same. I just you're animating somebody, they might look different than they look in live action is all I'm gonna point
Dude,
out.
I mean, the wheels have come off
Yeah,
this episode, so it's easy for us to segue. But I
yeah,
will still try to tether this to Superman because Superman is more or less about like the DC universe and about the whole thing at large. And the trailer is basically showing you a whole bunch of characters and
yeah,
explaining how this universe is already populated before we get to it. But
yeah,
still, we're able to tell stories individualized about these characters, remarkably.
yeah.
But like as of the taping of this episode, the firm language that Pattinson's Batman is not in the DC universe has completely eroded.
Yes, because did you see the interview with Matt Reeves where he's like,
I
"Well,
did.
who's to say?" And I'm like, "That's right, dude. Who is to
Who's to
say?"
say? Who's to say? You were to say. You were the
Who is to
reason they weren't doing it. And now I'm thinking hard conversations
Yeah,
with James Gunn and Matt Reeves where he's like, if it's going to take you this long to make the sequel,
yeah.
why don't we just roll them in?
Because here's the thing, man. Here's the thing, and here's the thing I was thinking about today. Because because I just saw you and I talked about this before. I just saw Nosferatu. Great.
Yes.
They've got the Skarsgård playing spoilers for the cast, playing Nosferatu,
Yeah.
playing Count Orlok, and I was thinking to myself this morning when I was taking out the trash, I'm like, that is a much better showcase of that actor's abilities than Pennywise. And so that got
Yeah.
me thinking about the It movies, and that got me thinking about Andy Muschietti and how he's supposed to do Batman, and got me thinking about. But here's the problem that Batman is going to be compared to the Batman, and you actually you already have a the Batman that people like and is good and has a Penguin spinoff of all things that
Yeah.
people like
That
and
everyone likes,
yeah.
and a Golden Globe winning show.
And so now you're going to get however you feel about it, you're going to get the guy that directed The Flash to make a Batman movie to compete against the Batman.
Why
It's
bother? Like,
tough.
why?
Well,
Especially if okay.
yes. So no.
Well, I was gonna say, especially if you're kind of like your driving force is that each movie is going to be made by a singular director who has
Mhm.
a very specific vision. It's like
Yeah.
we're not trying to hegemonize
Yeah.
the universe. It's going to be the same interconnected universe. It's just but a Batman book
Yeah.
feels different from a Superman book.
Yes.
And those movies should feel different too. And when they get together is when you get a different kind of thing. It's almost like how the MCU started, where it was like,
Mhm.
oh, we need someone who can do all the things that were done in each of those movies. Get Whedon.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yep.
oh, that worked, and it worked really well. Where it's like, oh man, you managed to balance all these things
Yeah.
because you're a new person
Yeah.
who's
Yeah. Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
this story.
Yeah, yeah, I meant to ask you. I'm not because I found the whole thing a little confusing. I know the
Yes.
Clayface movie that is kind of inexplicable to me
Uh huh.
still to this day. James Gunn has said that is part of the DCU.
Yeah.
However, isn't Matt Reeves also a producer on that?
Oh no, as I recall, the Clayface movie was set in the Penguin universe. Like
Okay,
that was the plan, was that it was going to be the Batman spinoff.
yeah.
Gunn saying that the Clayface movie will be in the DCU. Does he
Mhm.
mean the DCU or the DC multiverse that he also has been referring to? Where he's like,
Because
"Oh no, we're making movies that are all under the umbrella."
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know that Clayface of all characters has the juice to power a movie as much as I love Mike Flanagan's work. And so I'm sure, and you could say, but DJ, did you think the Penguin would have it? It's like, here's the thing: Penguin's been a Bat villain for a lot longer.
And he's not been as complicated. There
Yeah,
have been at least 3 or 4 Clayfaces,
Clayfaces.
and
It's
the best version was the one from the cartoon show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, and even then, having rewatched that episode, when you're watching, you're like, this guy should be fighting Superman, not Batman.
Well,
But
it's cool that he does. Like,
yeah,
that's the fun. Like, that's why I've always wanted Clayface to fight Batman in a palate cleanser movie.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
from Nolan to whatever the next thing was. I
Whatever
was
the
like,
next
"Oh,
thing
bring
is.
Clayface in,"
Yeah.
because
Well,
Clayface raises the stakes, but also allows for the fantastic.
and so the thing is, like, we yeah, you because there was the talks of the Batman spinoffs. Clayface was one of them.
Yep.
Now we're getting a Clayface movie, but it's supposed to be part of the DCU. Which,
Right.
by the way, the DCU can do something that the Venom Craven movies never seem to have the notion to do. It's like, if we're gonna have to wait 4 years or whatever for Batman Part Two, have Battinson show up in the Clayface movie,
For the
and
love
then
of God.
there you go. Like, and I think you're totally right. I think there's a world. And if I were James Gunn, of course I don't know all of the things he knows about what's going on behind the scenes, but it's like, yeah, Matt, do what you want. Do what you want. And you're the
Yeah.
Batman movies. I just don't step on my toes. I'm not going to step on your toes. It's like the comics. You do your thing over there.
Yeah.
But Robert Pattinson's going to be the Batman in our Justice League movie. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, like, do whatever you want,
Yeah.
and you can. Like, just like, do whatever you want with your Supergirl movie,
Yeah.
but she is still this David Corenswit's Superman's
Supergirl.
cousin.
Yeah.
Like,
They're going to hang out.
she's related to him.
Yeah.
They're gonna show up.
Yeah.
So, feel free, but remember that it's part of something. So
And
don't have any lines in there about how there is no Superman or something.
yeah, for something good, stupid like that. Yeah, and it's to me, and who knows what Matt Reeves' creative impulses are. But it's like, to me, that'd be so freeing, because then you get to play in the sandbox of Clayface and Poison Ivy. And I've even
Yeah.
gotten to a point, it's like, I kind of want to see Man Bat. Let's do it.
Oh,
Screw it.
Man
Let's
Bat
do
was my,
Man
like,
Bat.
I was like Man Bat before Clayface. Like, come
Yeah.
on. I mean, you get to, I mean, especially Mike Flanagan.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah,
he
yeah, yeah,
practically
yeah.
made a Man Bat movie
Yeah.
in the form of Midnight Mass.
Yeah, true, true, true. Yeah, so it's just one of the, yeah. Anyway, but you were asking about creature commandos. I'm
Yeah.
mostly caught up. I we'll see how it ends. I've become increasingly, like, I don't know if I'm feeling it. I think it's mostly
Mhm.
because I really don't like what they're doing with Frankenstein. Really having a hard time.
I s
'Cause I
it's
like the
funny.
character from the comics, and it's going to be
Yep.
hard to this is the tricky part of when you have, like, this is our shared universe, because now this is the Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
This is his
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
his
Agent of
story.
Shade,
Yeah,
Frankenstein in the movies now.
and
I
he's
agree
tough.
with you.
He's not a good
He's not a good guy. Well,
guy.
I saw an article that was circulating that essentially condemned the show because they're like, I can't like this guy.
Yeah.
And the article is essentially like, you're not supposed, or actually, the conjecture around the article was, you're not supposed to, man.
Which is
He
fine.
murders an old woman with a frying pan.
Yeah, narratively, I understand what James Gunn's doing. Part of the decision making seems to we're forefronting the bride over Frankenstein
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she
within the
was.
context of the show. I
It
totally
works.
understand. Within
Yeah.
the idea that now this is, if we do a Shadow Pact movie or a Justice League Dark movie or whatever,
Yeah.
then I'm going to be stuck. And David Harbour's perfect casting for the
I know. I
character.
love him.
And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to be stuck with this because, correct me, I feel like you're one of the few people I can talk to that would be able to help me. Like, am I missing something? Like, am
Right.
I just thinking? Am I looking back at those comics through rose-colored glasses? But,
Mm.
like, Frank is the closest thing DC has to, like, their Hellboy. It's almost like DC's Hellboy.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, yes. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right.
And
That
so now
he
it's
is
like he's
essentially
basically a sociopathic incel. It's like, that I don't like that.
I don't like that either, but also I think what Gunn would be smart to do
Yeah.
is to, in the DNA, so to speak, of this for Eric Frankenstein,
Yeah.
is have him go through a redemption arc
Yeah.
and there's only at the taping of this episode, there's one episode of this show left. I
Mhm.
heard it's greenlit for a second season.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But that there's always a chance to be redeemed.
Mhm.
And that, like, if you're an incel, that doesn't mean that, like, you're locked in a box and you'll never come out forever. It means
Yeah.
that there's always an opportunity for you to get better and to grow and to change. There could be a reality where Eric Frankenstein becomes the Frank that we all know and enjoy, who is cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if that seems to be James Gunn's direction. Like, I don't know if that's his point, but it seems deliberate because you could excise him from the show completely and you wouldn't lose anything. So
Yeah.
he's there for a reason. And if
Yeah.
the reason is to, for lack of a better term, character assassinate him because the whole show almost seems to be about like that culture, right? Like
Yeah.
the villains that they fought in the beginning who have
Alright,
like
this
phony Amazonians and stuff like that.
yeah.
Plus this kind of like guy who's a simple creature
Mhm.
who learns the wrong lessons from everything that
Yeah.
he encounters. Like every time that he's shown compassion, he responds with rage or at the very least like ineptitude
Yeah.
and savagery. I don't know. I think Gunn is trying to do something with that character to get him on that journey rather than just introduce him fully formed. I hope
Yeah.
that's true.
I think it's either that or we're just deciding the Frankenstein you like from the comics. You like from the comics.
Is
That
over
now with
there.
the DCU, that's the bride. That's the bride now.
Yeah.
The bride serves that role, and Frank is kind of almost an antagonist to her. Also wonder if maybe I do kind of hope we do something narratively with the fact that Frank and Rick Senior are teamed up, and Rick Senior's main motivating drive is banging this really hot, much younger woman. And it's
Yeah.
one of those which isn't the reason it feels weird is because it's written by a middle-aged guy, and it's always weird when a middle-aged guy is like, "Yeah, man." So there's this other middle-aged guy, and he's so cool that this way younger chick is way into him. It's like, all right, guy, all right,
Well, I
all
mean,
right.
if you look at his marriage history,
What are you talking about?
he ain't,
Right.
it is practically autobiographical.
But I'm hoping he's paired him up with Frank. So I'm like, maybe we're
Well,
getting to because
well, they do separate. I
okay,
spoilers, but
yeah, we'll see. But it's and we know we're getting and to your point, we've done a lot of from the Suicide Squad. We walked a lot of things back there, namely Peacemaker and Weasel.
big time.
We learned some facts about Peacemaker and Weasel and the Suicide Squad that once they got their own shows, we're like, well, actually, it's not as bad as you think. It's
No,
not as bad as you think.
yeah. She was just saying that for dramatic effect. In fact,
Yeah.
they're both heroes in their own stories, and it's
Yeah.
right.
Sure, yeah, whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah, but the reason why I even asked about Creature Commandos is
Yeah.
because it is essentially the first foray into this interconnected universe. Even though they're also saying that the Suicide Squad happened, in which case, how does Harley Quinn work? But never mind that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're kind of like looking at this universe, and it's again, it's through James Gunn's lens, and it feels like just another Suicide Squad spin. Like it feels like
Yeah.
another Suicide
It's a
Squad.
Suicide Squad show, basically. Yeah.
It is 100%. Just with more zany, monstrous characters.
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm excited because I know Gunn has an eye for talent. And I love the direction of make your movie, like make
Yeah.
your clear vision. But also he's making this Superman movie, and this Superman movie doesn't look or feel anything like the his entire bibliography or filmography, I should say. Like
Yeah.
there, and all I've been privy to, unfortunately, because it's a teaser, is music and
Mhm.
images.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we get the
I
one
mean,
line. We get the one line. Granted, so we talked about it briefly, and we talked about another one too. Trailers are all about vibes, right?
right?
And we've been tricked by vibes before. I still remember. I should revisit the Man of Steel trailer. Still remember that
Oh,
Man of Steel trailer. I'm like, this is it. We did
yeah,
it. We
yeah,
got it.
yeah.
And then you see the movie, you're like, all right, well, the trailer was good.
Yeah.
But
But it was a similar tone. Still that tone, but doesn't have the hope that the trailer sold. But
watching this trailer again, watching this the new this
yes,
2025
Superman,
Superman
2025.
trailer, there's so many things, and I too have been concerned that this is Superman is unlike what Gunn has tackled before, and if this is an opportunity, and I've said this on our show, if this is an opportunity for Gunn to approach to say I'm going outside of my box to meet Superman where he is, as opposed to pulling Superman to where I am. I'm much
Yeah.
more open to that. I do have concerns that um, how do we distinguish the previous iteration of the DC universe? We call it the Snyderverse. So for better or
Yeah.
for worse, no matter who the filmmaker was, it was connected to Zack Snyder and his vision. And I
Right.
think there's merit in not doing that again. However, in the first official DC thing, James Gunn gets his own title card and the opening
He he
opening
didn't do it, and it's like, that is enough. Like, I
yeah.
was not a fan of that, and I know it's
Yeah.
like a silly thing that's a throwaway, but also I'm like, boy, even Kevin Feige was relegated to a robot
Yes, and
acronym
She-Hulk.
in
Yep.
She-Hulk. Like, he
Yep.
didn't show up. I mean, he had a baseball cap on, but, like,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
wasn't like Kevin Feige walked out and was like, "I'm real." Like,
Well, because and again, I think they asked him, and he's like, "No," and they're like, "What if it's a robot?" And he's like, "Okay," and
yeah,
I saw an interview with Gunn, and he's like, "I hope people they did it, they did it, and we decided to keep it," and I was like, I that's cool that you don't want people that you think that you told them to do that. I would
right.
have axed it. I would have been like, "No,
Yeah.
we're not.
Nope,
This
cut it
isn't the
out.
Gunverse."
Yeah,
But um, that all of that said, the trailer because it does a lot of things that are really smart because I watched it with my wife who's not the biggest superhero fan,
mhm.
but I'm a huge Superman fan, and so I was like, I gotta show you just as an excuse to watch it again. And she was like,
Totally.
wait, are you getting emotional watching this? And I'm like, yeah, I am,
Yeah, I
because the crypto of it,
oh,
the having Superman show up prone once he's whistling because you I watched it for the first time with you. Once he starts whistling, I'm like, oh my god, it's happening.
oh. Yeah,
But what part of what makes it work is crypto in that trailer is representing what Superman represents. It is somebody that shows up in the moment. He's like, I'm not going to judge you for whatever situation you have now found yourself in. I'm just here to help. What do you need? And
yeah,
so through the embodiment of a dog, a silly Silver Age pet version of our main character, it does such a good job of evoking what Superman represents. And then you
yeah,
get the scene with the some war torn country. This kid raises Superman flag and he closes his eyes and he just starts saying Superman. Everybody starts chanting, and it touches on this. This is why people love Superman, man, because it
yes,
touches on this primal need, especially now. This feeling like, oh my god, I wish somebody could just save me.
yes,
I am overwhelmed by all of these things. All of these bad things are happening. It touches on the the religiosity
yeah,
aspect to it without being a Jesus pose or whatever. But it touches on
exactly,
that
yeah,
same need we have of like, I wish there was somebody that was just good that could
yeah,
come in and just be good and help save the day. And so there
right,
is, yeah, I'm getting emotional watching it because this is tapping into that thing that we love about the character. I did a video on my channel talking about why Superman would beat Homelander and Omni-Man.
yeah,
And it's one of the best quotes ever. And I'm not going to remember the off the top of my head the exact wording, but Grant Morrison in their book Super Gods, which if you're a fan of the genre, I highly recommend because it's a great history of superheroes.
yes,
But in the I think it's the opening thing they talk about growing up. Dad fought in World War II, and the only thing that scared their dad was the atomic bomb. That was the
yeah,
scariest thing on the planet. And they found this escape in reading about a guy that could walk through an atomic blast. So Superman was more powerful than the atomic bomb. And it's like that idea, and of course it's Grant Morrison, so it connects to this idea of like stories, creation, being creative,
yeah,
creating is more powerful than destruction. And
mhm.
that's just so powerful to me. And you're like, you're talking about a stupid DC universe trailer. I'm like, I know, but if the movie can capture that,
Yeah.
it'll all have all been worth it.
It's true, it's true. Yeah, no, there is, as you said, like, there is this need, this primal need for salvation
Yeah.
in humankind, like, in our experience, and if this movie is able to give people the hope that they are seeking,
Mhm.
then it will work.
Yeah.
It's funny because tapping it back to the Battinson of it,
Yeah.
that movie inadvertently became about the same concept
Yeah.
because when it was sold, it was like, this is going to be dark, it's going to be gritty, it's going to be grounded, and I'm like, oh boy, what a change of pace for this Batman
Yeah.
franchise. But also, and they're like, yeah, here you go. Like that one moment from the trailer that's also in the movie where Batman takes on what I don't recall if they I don't remember what they were supposed to be. I was like, are these Jokers? Is that the idea? But just
Oh,
some
yeah, yeah, the gang at the beginning.
the
Yeah, yeah,
gang, and he hits that guy, and then he hits him a couple more times. You're like, oh, that's enough hitting.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's
That's
down, man.
yeah,
You got him.
you
Yeah,
win, I think. I think you win this
yeah,
one.
right. Like, uh, he that moment is like that. This is what you're in for.
Yeah.
But by the end, it's like, but that's not enough.
We the
And
yeah.
yeah, like
Well,
that's
that
that,
other
like,
shot from the trailer with him with the flare leading the people into
oh
the because what Matt Reeves tackled, I think was the right decision, and we can discuss how well he achieved it, but, this idea of you have to more than with Superman, you have to grapple with what Batman represents as a hero
yes,
in the 21st century,
sure,
and so trying to be like, "Well, it can't just be beating up poor people, that can't be
right,
it. That's not enough, you know?
yeah,
But I will just to put a pin in that, I will say I think the best argument for Batman existing is the Penguin. For anybody that's watched that show,
right.
it Batman does not show up on it, but it ends with on a sting of the bat signal. And I've never wanted to see Batman drop kick a guy through a window more in my life.
Yeah, and that's the success of like the Reeves verse or whatever the hell we
Yeah.
want to call that
They
one.
call it the epic
Uh,
crime saga, and I'm like, well, you got to fit a epic Batman. There's crime saga.
yeah,
Godfather exists. What are we doing?
right. Come on, like
Yeah.
come on. Yeah, there's in no other crime saga is there a vigilante who's going to show up and kick ass.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's okay to lean into the Batman of it, but in this whole like thing, I can understand this desire to be like, let's just fold it in. Much
Dude,
like A, less legwork. B, people, no need to like like we said earlier, fight ourselves, eat our own lunch, so to speak.
mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
C, we don't need to earn the audience's trust. We could just buy it.
Yeah.
I'd
Well,
be like, here you go.
okay, and to that point, going back to the Marvel of it all, one of the earliest selling points because and now it's easier to look back as a movie fan on a lot of those early Marvel entries with a little more fondness because they've made worse movies since. But
Yeah,
I think one of the big selling points to even their most mediocre outings early on. One of the things they did really well was the casting was like rock solid, and
yeah,
so even if you didn't love Thor, let's say, you still
yeah.
wanted to see Chris Hemsworth hang out with Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. in the Avengers movie,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah,
so
no. All I could think about when I was watching Ken Branagh's Thor and all the Dutch angles
yeah.
was, boy, I can't wait to see him meet Iron Man.
Yeah, and then I think one of the smart things, and I don't know if this was Joss Whedon or if it was Kevin Feige going like that. Tom Hiddleston Loki, that's something we need to keep around.
Yes. Yeah,
And
absolutely.
fortunately, he was the bad guy in the first Avengers, so it works perfectly.
Exactly.
First
Well,
Avengers,
and he's also one of those actors who's down.
yeah,
He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in." Like,
yeah,
it's funny every time I've now seen two different actors talk about how they were almost Captain America besides Chris Evans, and I think Chris
mhm,
Evans is a perfect Captain America, and I'm so
yeah,
glad that he was.
yeah.
But those other two actors would never have quit being Captain America.
Mm,
You know what I mean?
mm. Can you say who the other two actors were? I don't know off the top of my
Oh,
head.
it was, John Krasinski was
Yeah,
one
yeah,
of
yeah,
them,
yeah,
but, there was this, like I don't remember who the other guy was, he's blonde too, but he
yeah,
did this interview at one of these Comic Cons, and he talked about it, I can't remember his name.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
He's
yeah, yeah,
he's straight up, I was like, "I don't know who this guy is."
yeah, yeah. But if you were
And he
Captain
did
America,
a thing. Like, he was like he went from his agent was like, "Clear your schedule," to, "They gave it to Chris Evans." Like,
mhm.
like, yeah, I don't
but
remember who it was.
but
They'll let me know in the comments.
so to that point, right now confirmed our Justice League. We don't know that we're getting a Justice League movie, but we better, damn it. But
Oh,
and mostly just because we got David Cornsweet as Superman. We
yep,
got Aaron Pierre, I believe is the actor's name from Rebel Ridge, who's going to be John Stewart.
yep.
And right off the bat, I'm like so super sold just on that
Oh,
alone.
yeah.
I think that yeah, Aaron Pierre, so good. Everybody watch Rebel Ridge. It's great. It's on Netflix. You got Netflix. Check it out.
Mhm.
But so and then you're like, yeah. if Robert Pattinson's Batman's in there, yeah, great. If here's the thing, and I think this is part what motivates our conversations. My
Yeah.
understanding is that Pattinson was like, "Yeah, I want to be a yeah, let me hang out with Superman." And it was originally Matt Reeves was like, "No, that's not what this is." It's like, well, if Pattinson's down,
Then get
then
out of the
do
way.
it. Yeah, then do it. And the other one I would definitely keep, and I think the conversation is we're going to. I think they're getting an animated series is Blue Beetle.
Yes.
The Cobra Kai kid that we've got to that we're playing Blue Beetle. I really like
Mhm.
Blue Beetle. I know it didn't like
It didn't do well.
change the world or whatever, but it's like that kid, that's a keeper. That you keep that kid as Blue Beetle. You put him on your Justice League.
Yep.
Is because we like the idea of I think this was the purpose Cyborg was supposed to serve in the New 52, but he never quite did. Of the kind of the
Uh-huh.
younger voice on the team.
Yep.
Cyborg's the wrong pick for that. Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle is the right pick for that.
Yep.
And so if you say like that, if you told me our starting position is David Cornsweet Superman, Robert Pattinson Batman, Aaron Pierre John Stewart, and Jaime Reyes Blue Beetle, yes,
Yeah.
yes, that,
Right,
yes,
absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm in, especially because we're going to have like this kind of lived-in world where it's like there was a Justice League. It was
Mhm.
set up by Maxwell Lord, and it stars,
Yep,
Hawkgirl and the wrong Green Lantern
yep.
and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, that
And
sounds
also
fun.
to that point, do you want to see Robert Pattinson's Batman deck?
Oh,
Guy Gardner, come on,
yeah,
maybe
I
young
kind of
Guy Gardner,
do.
come
That was
on.
kind of sweet. Also, there's the Lanterns show of it all,
Mhm,
where it's
mhm,
like
mhm.
you're not just getting Aaron Pierre as John Stewart in what hopefully will be a Justice
Yeah,
League movie, but that Lantern show, you got Hal Jordan, Kyle
yeah, Hal
Chandler's gonna
Jordan.
be that one. I heard that, Nathan Fillion will be in the Lantern show.
That he would have
So
to be, right? I mean, come
well,
on.
he doesn't have to be because it's
But,
like
like,
you're but if
he's
you're making a
there,
show about the Lanterns,
and also
he's gonna hopefully survive the Superman movie,
yeah,
so
and it's Nathan Fillion, man, like, I at this point, like, what, the Rookies and it's, like, ninth season or whatever, I'm sure he shows
yeah,
up for, like, 4 hours a day. I'm sure you could get him to show up for a little bit on your Lantern show, like, come on.
exactly, have him pop on the horrible wig and just go
Yeah,
to town. Yeah, I'm in. I mean, Uh, I'm excited for this universe, and this
yeah.
movie is going to be the big test. But I also don't know if it is the make it or break it that we're all kind of like tethering to it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right, mostly because this movie is going to do well. Whether
I
it is
hope
good or
so.
not, it's gonna do well. I feel like because the trailer's, like,
Oh, the
blowing
trailers
doors
boom. Yeah, that's
yeah.
true. Opening weekend will do great.
It'll do great. Is it gonna be good enough, like, to where people will show up for Supergirl? Like, that's gonna be the test, I think.
Yeah. Well, Supergirl, you got to keep the budget tight, and
Mm.
you got to be
I'm
smart with that.
so for those that are not, connected to the shared DJ Sal shared universe,
Yes, our shared
we do on, DJ Talks Trash, my personal channel, we do Krypton Academy. Next up is gonna be Supergirl. We've done the first 3 Superman movies. We're going to do Supergirl next. And it's weird to me. And we're coming off of, we just got the news that Jason Momoa has been cast as Lobo, which is like,
Yep.
that's right. That's
Yeah,
correct.
that
That's,
was like that you're righting a wrong with
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. 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 Right. He should have been on Lobo. Should have been on Zack Snyder's Justice League. Like, I just fuck it. Why are you even bother
He
trying to
should have been
do
leading the Justice League for Zack Snyder. I mean, like, I'm
that,
shocked that
dude?
and I think it's just yeah,
That's how you bring Snyder back, man. You're like, you're doing a Lobo movie.
right. He's like, "Yes,
Yeah.
yes, done. Okay, great." Yeah.
You can make it as much like the heavy metal magazine as you want. Go to town.
Right. Actually, we would prefer it if you did, like,
Yeah,
because then you're able to, really go for it instead of trying to like fit into a box you're never going to fit into, or try to
yeah,
put a character into a mold that doesn't fit them. Like, no, make as Lobo a movie as you want, and you have an unlimited license to pick as much music as you
mhm.
like, because James Gunn loves music and Zack Snyder loves music,
I am
in very
interested
different
in
ways.
what the music of Superman will be like because I don't know that the needle drops that Gunn likes to use in his other stuff will quite work for Superman. But we know we're getting a Supergirl movie, and what's weird to me is like, why Supergirl, man? Like, what is it about? Is it because the Superman branding? We had the
Yeah,
Supergirl movie, we had the Supergirl TV show, and now we're doing another Supergirl movie.
yeah,
And I just don't but no Batgirl. We shelved the Batgirl movie. Like, we
right.
don't like
Yeah,
there's a billion Batman adjacent comics on the stand. If you go to your local comic shop and you go, my shop, one half, there's an aisle, one half is Marvel, one half is DC. You go to the DC aisle, a good whole shelf is all the Batman that come out monthly.
Yes.
Batman, Detective Comics, Batgirl, Robin. Like there's 3 Robin comics, right? You know,
Yes.
whatever. And yet we keep doing Supergirl. Like there's not a
Yeah.
Nightwing movie. There's not a. I know we're going to do the dynamic duo, and that's another crazy. I'm excited for that movie, but it's like, you guys don't think Nightwing and Red Hood have enough juice to do their own movies individually? You're going to pair them up,
Right? I
but we're
I
doing
don't know if I want
Supergirl.
that. Also, that's gonna be weird if you do that because
Yeah,
of the Pattinson. Like, he can't have 5 Robins. What is this, New 52? Where
yeah.
Batman's, like, 29 and he's had 5 Robins,
I
including a
think what
son?
you do is you say, because I think what we're supposed to understand is the Batman happens around, happens from Halloween to election time, so early
Yep.
November. And my understanding is Penguin takes us from that time to winter, and now Batman Part 2 is in winter. So you could just say all of these the Batman movies take place within like a 6-month period in his
Yeah.
second year. And so by the time he shows up in Justice League, he's been Batman. That's in his past. That's his long Halloween. He's
Right.
fought all these other people at this point. Like,
Yeah, yeah. That'd be kinda fun. Alright, I'll cop to that.
yeah,
That sounds cool. I can't believe, apropos of the Batgirl/Supergirl, insanity.
yeah,
Like, I just saw, like, a still, I think it was tweeted by Mark Miller of all people. It was this big, long image behind the scenes of the Batgirl movie where it's, like, just this crime alley kinda set,
yeah,
gorgeously shot, with the '89 Batmobile and Michael Keaton and Batgirl, and it's like J.K. Simmons Gordon was interacting with that character. Like,
yeah,
there's footage on someone's hard drive somewhere
yeah.
of J.K. Simmons Gordon talking to Michael Keaton's Batman, and we're never gonna see it.
We're never gonna see it. Never? Do you think
We'll
never?
we'll
Do you
see it.
think?
We
Okay,
will
I
see
was gonna
it. It's just a
say,
question of we need, but, like, the thing is, I don't know, because I've heard about that phantom edit of Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and I haven't seen it. Now, I heard that Kevin Smith played it at his theater.
yeah,
I missed it, but,
yeah,
but I've heard about all these things. The Justice League Mortal
yeah,
movie
yeah,
from,
yeah,
that has high resolution photographs of every single costume test,
yeah,
and I've only seen, like, Wonder Woman and Martian Manhunter, I think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. It
It
just
takes
feels so like
decades, but
that's
we're never gonna get, like, a Ryan Reynolds situation where it's like, "Oh, we leaked the footage of the Batgirl so that we could finally get a Batgirl." Like, no. It would have to be just out of morbid curiosity.
yeah. I can't believe they didn't just drop that on Max or what. Like,
Yeah.
just whatever. It's done
I
now.
know. I know.
Bye. That's
Maybe next
fine.
pandemic they'll release it, but,
Yeah, sure. Hey, that could be right around the corner. Who's to say? Who knows?
who's to say?
Who's to say?
But the Supergirl thing is interesting because I also am curious because Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow was a critical success, mildly. People didn't really talk much about it at all,
Hmm.
and it was a commercial flop.
Yeah,
They didn't even believe in it enough to give it 12 issues, like Tom King warrants at this point.
yeah,
8 issues. Everyone
yeah.
loves those 8-issue miniseries, but,
Mhm.
Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow doesn't get a hardcover release.
Yeah,
Night Terrors got a hardcover release. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow gets maybe a softcover release.
yeah,
They announced there's a movie, now it has a deluxe edition.
yeah.
But that's not because it was so successful.
Mhm.
So there has to have been something else within that like algorithm that
Yeah,
says Supergirl was a successful, or at the very least critically acclaimed book
yeah.
and self-contained. I think that's what it is. I think it's like it was self-contained. It was written by a consult
Mhm.
for the
Mhm.
universe,
Yeah,
and maybe
yeah,
it's because of the Flash. I mean, how can you explain them telling Andy Muschietti or whatever
yeah,
that he's directing a Batman movie
yeah,
after the failure, the utter failure?
yeah,
No one was like, "Oh man, well, one thing you got to say about the Flash is that it was well directed."
yeah,
Like,
yeah. There's not. You can't even give the Flash that. There's not. I
right?
don't know about you. I've got nothing nice
But
to
like,
say about the Flash.
no. But are there any dangling issues where it's like, I know they were going to make a Supergirl movie with Sasha Calle, right? Like that
Yeah.
was the plan.
I think you might be right because if you look at, and I've had conversations with people about this before, if you look at a lot of what James Gunn said in his initial announcement, it was stuff that at some iteration, a Booster Gold show, a Green Lantern show, had been
Yeah.
working on previously.
Right?
The inexplicable Themyscira show, where it's like
Oh,
just
don't
make
do
Wonder,
that.
just make a new Wonder Woman, just
Yeah.
cut it
It's
out.
Wonder Woman is such a hard sell.
Yeah,
Like, and I don't know why she's the original female superhero.
yeah,
She's the most iconic female superhero of all time, and her stories are all unfortunately boring. And
yeah,
it may a couple. There's a handful.
yeah,
There's like a handful of great Wonder Woman stories, and then there's hundreds of other ones,
yeah, yeah,
and I can't even tell you if they're good or not because me and the rest of us haven't read them.
yeah,
Like I'm sorry. And it's just so don't be like, oh no, we're gonna do an Artemis show and we're gonna do like a Hippolyta Begins show, we're gonna do
yeah.
a
No,
Paradise Island show.
just
No,
do Wonder Woman.
start with Wonder Woman and go from
Yeah,
there. See if people want it. I mean,
yeah,
because you are one for one when it comes to Wonder Woman movies. You got
yeah, yeah,
one that is hailed as one of the best superhero movies until the third act,
yeah,
and you have an utter and abysmal failure.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so just do another. Yeah, and I would even bring why am I blanking on the director that did
Is it Patty
uh
Jenkins?
Betty Jenkins, bring her back. Just be
Yeah.
like, no gal, no gal. We're gonna
Don't
do
do
an
that anymore. But
yeah,
also 84, all your impulses for 84, I need you to leave those at the door
yeah, leave
before
those at the door. Like what just do and I also wonder if maybe Supergirl's filling that
Mhm.
role right now in that like there's gonna be it's just a weird it just feels like a weird instinct. And I'll tell you another thing that I think because I think they're hesitating to do. Let me put it this way: I think the reason we're getting a Green Lantern show instead of a movie is because of the Ryan Reynolds movie, and
100%.
and Hollywood loves to like, well, it failed once, and we're not gonna unless it's like Dune or whatever. There's some of these people. There's these little pet projects that for some reason doesn't matter how many times they like stub their toe on it. They're like, well, let's try again. But other ones are like,
Yeah.
no, well, never ever.
Yeah,
I,
never again.
I
Yeah.
think after the failure of the Flash movie, I think if I were in the room, two things. One, Barry Allen's done. He had a 10-season
Yeah,
show. I
good
don't know,
run.
it was 8 season. He had however many season show.
Yeah.
And then there's that Ezra Miller stink on the other one. Just we're done with Barry Allen. Wally West there's a reason why in this new Absolute line we're just cutting it straight to Wally West
Yep.
because he is the by and large most people's Flash.
Yeah.
And do it like we're doing with Lanterns, do a Flash show, but like
Yeah.
a Max style, like really go after it. 12 episodes where you can really make it all, sing. That
Yeah.
first season of the Grant Gustin Flash is great. And then every other season, but
Yeah.
that first season, but you know what I mean? So you capture
Yeah.
that energy. And then like that'd be something I'd be into if you're like, okay, the first half of every year, we got 10 to 12 episodes of Green Lantern. Back half, wintertime, we got 10 to 12 episodes of Flash, and one episode each season where we see
Them
the
interact.
Flash and Green Lantern hang out because they're friends in the comics. Maybe we'll throw in our Green Arrow in there because just as a little treat to y'all.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then, we'll call it a day.
yeah. Well, do you remember, this is just fun. It is just like apropos of comic book universe building and stuff like that. But do you remember that movie script that had been floating around since before the MCU was formed? That was a secret Green Arrow movie called Supermax.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Where like it was gonna be like a
That's
secret
the Goyer
reveal.
joint, wasn't it? That was one
I
of his.
think it was.
Yeah,
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 Goyer
yeah.
and Marks made a movie about or that was the plan. It was called Supermax, and it was just
Yeah.
like
It's
gonna
super
be
prison with supervillains, but you got the one hero falsely accused thrown in there. It's like, yeah,
yeah.
yes, do
D-
that.
You could still do that. Like
Yeah,
you could
you could.
still make that Green Arrow movie
Doing
where
a
it's like
Bane Deathstroke movie, you could do Supermax.
no one wants that. Like I don't know anybody who's like, ooh, Bane and Deathstroke in a movie together.
Yeah, I am a
I'm
little
in.
worried. I am a little worried. I just in general, man, because like I feel like we've gone far afield from the
Yes.
early days of Marvel, where it's like, okay, we're doing Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Avengers, and you're like, correct. That's
Makes sense. That is the formula now.
yeah. And then DC comes out of the gate like Superman, Superman versus
Batman and
Batman,
Superman.
then Justice League, then Wonder Woman, then Justice League. Like that could work, and it didn't, but it could have.
Nope. Yes.
It could have.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
now it's like great. Okay, Superman, great. Green Lantern show, awesome. Also, Bane, Deathstroke. Wait, what are we doing? And a
What?
Clayface movie. Hold on a second.
And it might be in another universe. Oh,
Yeah.
also don't forget about that Swamp Thing movie that might be happening with James Mangold, which I'm
That's
in
the part that
for.
throws me off. I like the idea of a Swamp Thing movie. James Mangold, but he makes dad movies. He makes good dad movies, but he makes dad movies.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what Swamp Thing will bring, but
Ford v
I mean,
Ferraris, James Mangold doing. Here's what I'm hoping for with that Swamp Thing movie. Here's all I need. Give me a good John Constantine to show up in that Swamp Thing movie.
oh,
I want to see
yeah.
Constantine. I'm bummed that we never got what was it, Matt Smith? No, who played him
Oh,
in
yeah, yeah,
he had his own
Matt
show.
something, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, whatever. And it's like you couldn't have gotten him in your DC Universe Swamp
Ryan.
Thing show just for an episode. Matt Ryan, you can
Oh,
have Matt Ryan show up for one
that
episode
was
to hang out with Swamp
unbelievable.
Thing.
No, yeah, that show was pretty cool, but Matt Ryan would have put it right over the top.
That show, no, because nobody watched it.
Yeah.
I can tell you the first couple episodes of that show rock. Like
Yeah,
it's
they
like
did.
yes, and then it kind of like loses. Like it's kind of like wait, what are we?
Oh, it's
I guess
confu
we're doing Blue
it's
Devil. Like wait,
Blue
what's happening?
Devil. I was like, "I'm in," but, like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
but the Swamp Thing looked cool. Anyway, whatever.
yeah.
It's just one of those like James. He's a good talented director, but Swamp Thing for James Mangold. No, it's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
fine.
yeah. Well, I have to assume it's only because he asked for it.
Oh,
You know,
100%.
it's just like,
Yeah,
"I wanna do Swamp
100%.
Thing," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay." But, like, and what they should do, I mean, not that we need to pitch anything, but, like,
yeah.
you know, based on the success and just how good the last Hellblazer series was from Spurrier and
So
Campbell.
good. Yeah, if
Um,
nobody's checking out the Spurrier Hellblazer run,
yeah,
ooh,
it
get it.
just ended. Hellblazer: Dead in America. It just
Yeah,
wrapped up, and it's perfection.
yeah.
But like, it's also kind of like a secret All Stars Vertigo book, and
Mhm.
that's your movie. Like, you don't make Swamp Thing. You make like Dead in America, where it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, Morpheus is going to show up, and Constantine's going to show up, and
Yeah,
you know,
let's get some movie money behind a good Morpheus. I don't
yeah.
need the Netflix
Oh,
TV
that
budget Morpheus.
that was a
I need
shame.
yeah,
No, I want movie Morpheus and death. Like,
yeah,
I want like that stuff in there,
yeah,
especially because that Gunn has an affinity for those characters. If he
yeah,
if he likes the Just League International
yeah,
for
yeah.
Giffen and DeMatteis and everybody, he's got a soft spot for Vertigo.
Yeah, so
Come on.
I just hope I'm hopeful for this movie. I hope it's really good. I could use a
Yeah,
really good Superman movie, especially in 2025.
big time.
And I hope I hope it opens some doors to like, yeah, man, like I hope it's Battinson, but just give me a good Batman movie. Scrap your Themyscira show. Maybe make a Wonder Woman show. Like if that's what we're
Yeah,
doing, like people were a little less confident about their box office returns. Although, as you pointed out, that first Wonder Woman did real good.
very good. Yeah.
So like let's get a good Wonder Woman in there and just give me just do it again. Just do it again, but good this time.
Yes. Yes, that's it. Sometimes that's okay, and the
Yeah,
audience is down for it. The
yeah,
audience is ready for just do it again, but better.
yeah,
Or try again. You don't have
yeah.
to do the whole thing all over again, but like just have a better starting point.
Yeah, I'm excited for a Booster Gold show. I'm into that. That could be cool.
That's
But
a that is a show. Like, Booster Gold should be a show. Like,
yeah,
that's a brilliant idea.
and that's where you by the way, that's where you should park Ted Cord.
Yeah.
Wherever like let Jaime be. I'm people know this. I've talked about this before. I'm not a huge fan of like I don't love it when there's like a flash where it's like here's all of them operating at once. Here's Barry and Wally and Jay and the kids and it's like that there should
Yeah.
be a flash. Pick a flash.
Yeah.
You get a
Pick a
little bit
lane.
of leeway in Green Lantern because that's a whole core of them to begin with. Although I will say,
Yes.
just for Christmas, I picked up the Kyle Rayner compendium,
Oh, nice.
and it's one of those like, could you imagine a world where they just kept Hal Jordan as a villain? Like they just
Right.
said, that's. Could you imagine a world, Sal? We could probably do a whole episode on this, so I don't want to derail us. But
Yeah, yeah.
could you imagine a world where part of the core mythology of the Justice League is like two of our core members Barry and Hal, one of them's dead and one of them turned evil. And that
Yeah.
is true forever now. That is,
Yes.
you know what I mean? No
Oh,
backsies.
going further than that, like, there's one Green Lantern,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's that
No,
guy.
that was one of my favorite things about the Kyle Rayner run. It's like they're all of the maybe
Yeah.
you have Kilowog lose his ring, but he's still around because he's a good character.
Yeah.
But as far as lanterns go, it's this one guy.
Yeah. in
and
a Nine Inch Nails t-shirt. Like
yeah, 100%. And it's and I kind of yeah, it's just so you pick a lane. You know, I don't need
yeah.
multiple Blue Beetles. I don't need. It's you can have Ted backing up Booster Gold because we like that relationship and that's cool.
Yeah.
But what would we want to see? We'd want to see. Okay, we want Superman to be good. We want Matt Reeves Batman to be
In the
uh,
universe.
in the universe. Wonder Woman movie or show?
Mm. I think either, but I think that there is something important about Wonder Woman. Like, I remember seeing that movie in the theater and seeing, like, old women and children all just,
Mhm.
like, being taken with this
Yeah.
experience, and it's, like, it's so powerful and it's so important, and I'm like, I would love for Supergirl to do that, but she's just not as iconic. It's
No.
literally a derivative, like,
Of
she's
Superman,
Superman, but a
100%.
girl.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't mean literally, like,
And we're
it's the same
parking
character. She's
yeah,
such a different character,
yeah,
but
we're parking Lobo in our movie.
yeah.
You
Now,
know what I mean? So
I should point out, and it
who are we
because my wife
trying
is a purist, like, she loves that book, and
yeah,
she does not wanna see that book get ruined in any
yeah.
way. But Tom King did actually want Lobo in the book originally.
Yeah, it's fine, but I'm saying,
So
like, as far as a movie scheme, it's like, okay, so who are we marketing the Supergirl movie to
well,
if
I
we're
don't
like
know if it's necessarily that they're trying. I don't think that Lobo will be in the movie the whole time. I think
no,
Lobo will be in a segment of the movie, and it'll be more like a, like, "Whoa!" And then that'll be over, and it'll be
although
fine.
I don't hate that buddy cop dynamic of Supergirl and Lobo, like, that could be a good although
Yeah, that's a
truthfully, I would just wanna see Superman and Lobo fight, that's all I
yes,
want.
absolutely, and I hope we get it. I mean,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, but Supergirl and Ruth I will be really cool. Like, that'll be really neat. Like,
Do we think this the Mascara show, if it happens, do you think that's like our backdoor like, by the end of the show, we'll have our Wonder Woman? Like, by the way,
yeah,
here's Diana.
it better be. I mean, like,
Yeah.
I am ready for those kinds of surprises.
Yeah.
Where you have a show and you're watching it, and then the last episode they're like, "Oh, by the way, here's our cast. Like, here's our character."
Yeah.
Scars notwithstanding, in our She-Hulk show where it's like, "Oh, and by the way,
Yeah.
here's something
Again,
no one asked for once or will remember."
it's a joke. That's why I always go back. People are so pissed about that scar reveal. It's like, yeah, it's a joke. They were making a joke.
Yeah.
But
I hope so because I don't want that to ever come up again.
no, no, no. And also the tricky thing with that Themyscira show too is I think one of the reasons I'm so ambivalent towards it is the point of Themyscira is that it's Paradise Island.
Right.
It's by
Why
definition
are they killing each other?
there's
Yeah.
no conflict there. What are we doing?
No.
Like
No,
that's the point of
you could do the games, like, you could do, the trial, like, you could do a whole
yeah,
show about you don't even have to cast Wonder Woman, but, like, a young Diana who is, like, doing the bullets and bracers challenge, like, that would
yeah,
be a
yeah, yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Um,
So we want I think because here's something I think we kind of fumbled the ball with the other Justice League is it was the New 52 Justice League, which I don't, which is part of the core lineup, but I think I don't. Cyborg's a Teen Titan to me. He's
I
not a
agree.
Justice
I
League
think
member.
we all agree that Cyborg, while, like, I appreciate the effort, Cyborg belongs on the Titans, and it's not a demotion. That's
No,
just
it's just because that's the characters I want to see him interacting
it's the
with.
characters I wanna see him interact with.
I don't want to see him hanging out with Superman. I want to see
And it
him
makes
hanging
him a
out with
better
Night.
character. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I like Cyborg and his relationship with these other characters. I don't know what Cyborg's relationship is with Aquaman.
yeah. The one caveat I'll give is it turns out Cyborg on Doom Patrol that
That was
works.
okay.
That's a really good having him be like our one Justice League type character on this team of weirdos. That's a dynamic that really works.
Yes.
Um, so I think for me, what I would like to see is if in a hypothetical Justice League,
Yep.
we've got We've already said part of it. Corn Sweat,
Yep.
Superman, Aaron Pierre, John Stewart, Battinson, keep our Jaime Reyes,
Mhm.
Blue Beetle. Give me a good Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Let's do a Wally West Flash.
Yep.
What am I don't need an. I'm sorry. I actually really
Aquaman,
like the first
Jon
Aquaman.
Stewart, maybe Plastic Man.
Yeah.
Uh, there's a
Mm,
lot of options there.
I think that do we want to? Do I care about Martian Man? I like Martian Manhunter as a character, but do I need him
I
on?
don't, but I
We
understand
should
why he's used, but I
we
don't
should
really.
get another lady on there. We should get another. We do have a
Hawkgirl.
hot girl who from fans of the Justice League animated series. That
Yeah.
obviously she's a big part of it.
Yep.
But I'm also a big Zatanna. We could get a little magic in there. She could show up in the
Z
Swamp Thing movie. That could be
Z
our.
Z has gotten a lot of play in the comics lately, kind of suspiciously such, where
Yeah,
like
yeah,
there
yeah.
is a Batman werewolf book and it stars Zatanna. There was that
Yeah.
Zatanna Mariko Tamaki miniseries that just came out that was
Yeah.
fantastic. There's been a lot of Zatanna. She's a key player in a Superman story arc from Williamson recently.
Yeah.
She's also on the Just League Unlimited. Like I think she's in like the Question book. She's all over the place. Sounds to me like they want to get Zatanna working.
Yeah. I'm for that. I'm for
Yeah.
I think the only caveat there is she's not too similar to Wonder Woman, but, if you're trying to, like, cover your bases, do we consider Wonder Woman more magic adjacent, and is that too,
Yeah. I
are we
don't, like,
yeah,
but I appreciate that she is magic, and, her inclusion on the Just League Dark was cool,
yes.
but I think they're different enough where it would be okay. Like, where
Yeah,
it's
I
like
think that would
they
work.
do different things.
Yeah, it'll be interesting how I mean, so do you think if this movie does well, do you think they're like, "All right, here's a release date for the Justice League movie." Like, what do you think the follow
No, I
just doing well
no,
is?
I think it's real caution, that
Mhm.
we're getting right now, but that's also the calm before the storm. If the movie does well, all bets are off.
Yeah,
I don't know. But we have seen Gunn with a franchise that is successful and how
yeah,
he reacts when that happens. And he's not like, I'm king of the world and I'm
yeah,
going to make
yeah,
horror movies. Like, it's not like the other guy,
yeah.
from Ragnarok, where it's like,
Yeah, yeah,
once
yeah.
he gets an inkling of success, he has orgies and completely tanks the franchise. Like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is
yep.
Gunn is a little more measured,
Yeah,
I feel like as far as he's concerned, he's like he has a much more like of an Akbar approach to it. When I say that, I mean there's a great moment in Return of the Jedi when the tide is turned for the Alliance, and the shields are down, and the
mhm,
Star Destroyers are crashing into each other, and everyone on the bridge is like, "Woo!" And Akbar just eases into his chair
mhm.
and just breathes a sigh of relief.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, I think that everyone, like the studio will be losing their effing minds,
Yeah.
but I think Gunn will be like, "What's
Well,
next?"
because he's talked about he's like, "Actually making this movie has been kinda miserable because I know it's kinda this or not," you know what I mean? Like, if this
Yeah, but
one
it's
tanks, I'm in trouble, and he has a
absolutely.
clear example of what that looks like, and I will say,
Yeah.
um a little bit of negativity with a little bit of positivity as a chaser. I will say, having watched the trailer multiple times, I have become more concerned about the amount of other non-Superman characters the Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, Metamorpho, who isn't even
Yeah.
hanging out with the other Justice League members. And there's that scene with Superman and Stack. So I'm like, is Metamorpho
Just
unrelated
terrific.
to is he his own separate thing that Superman has
Yeah.
to fight Metamorpho?
Dude, we haven't even talked about the engineer and the authority.
Like all that stuff, right? And so, like, I am a little concerned about that. And my point of reference is Adam Warlock in Guardians 3, who you could cut out of that movie. You could just replace a different villain in that opening scene where Rocket gets hurt with a different
Yep.
character,
Yep.
and it doesn't need to be Adam Warlock at all.
No.
And so it's like sometimes Gun bites off more than he can chew.
Yeah,
But
well, he
let's
also
face
talked
it.
about how he regrets, like, setting up Adam in the second Guardians
Yeah,
because it pigeonholed him into doing it, and I'm like, "No, it didn't. It's a
yeah,
post-credits scene."
yeah. You could have
They
just
cast Star Fox. Like, you don't need to worry about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
But the chaser is having said that, I do think Guardians 3 is the best of the Guardians
it is
movies.
so
So,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
so, and again, when it comes to that stuff, I'm a little more lukewarm on the Guardians movies than most people.
Mhm.
But I really, really like the Suicide Squad, and I really, really like Peacemaker. So James
Yeah.
Gunn in the DC universe so far has a pretty good batting average.
It's true. And I'm just hopeful that the audience will show up for it because I don't think it's a foregone conclusion. Like for me, it is a foregone conclusion the Superman movie will be good. Like I think
Mhm.
that I will enjoy it.
Yeah.
The question is whether the audience will show up. Now, so far they've shown up for the trailer
Yeah, yeah,
in droves. Like it's one of the number one viewed trailers of all time.
yeah.
And I'm sure it has nothing to do with the fact that like algorithms and there are more human beings on the planet than there had been previous references. I
Could
don't
be
know.
any
It could be any number of things. Maybe people are just quietly hungry for a Superman. I don't know. I, but I hope that they do show up for a good movie. I hope the movie is good, and I hope that it sets up the vision that they had.
Yeah.
Or if they didn't have a clear vision, that they crystallize it before the movie comes out. Like, because I would be concerned that, like, we've heard when they had that like announcement of all the movies that Gunn is overseeing for the DC
Yeah.
universe before they even cast Corin Sweat, I feel like, you know, there's always an opportunity for them to go, "Oh, we're gonna cut that. We're gonna cut that. We're not gonna make that movie."
Mhm.
Whereas if Superman does well, they're gonna go, all of it, everything. Clayface,
Mhm.
yeah. Man Bat, sure.
Yeah.
Lantern Show, but also Paradise, also that, like Blue
Yeah.
Beetle too. Like I'm concerned that they'll be like, oh, we got to make spinoffs of all the heroes that show up in this movie. Like we got to get a Metamorpho show going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, let's slow your roll. Like,
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I wanna go back. I'm curious, do you think, like, because to me, the trailer's been doing well. Superman's an icon. Like, to me, it's been kind of, whether the movie's good or bad, like a foregone conclusion that'll probably do well. Do you think there's a chance? Because I mean, superhero fatigue, I do think is kind of a thing.
I think it is only cultural, like not culturally. I think that like pop culturally, I think that like we are predisposed to giving things beginnings and endings
Mhm.
artificially,
Yeah.
and that we love to see as much as we, like Green Goblin said, we love to see a hero rise, but we also love to see them fall. Like we're
Yeah.
ready for it to be over. We're ready for like, chapters to end. And I think that, you know, there are some who have always been crapping on the superhero genre, and I don't
Mhm.
necessarily even
Mhm.
believe that it is a genre. I think it's more just like a category, and that there are subgenres within the superhero, or at least there should be.
Yeah.
Like Thor should have been a fantasy movie, superhero movie.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, yeah,
Iron Man is an action movie.
yeah.
Like
Mhm.
there's with superhero overtones. Like there's I don't know if the superhero genre even exists, or at least it shouldn't. It
Mhm.
does, and it's called
Yeah.
Marvel right now. Um,
Yeah.
and you can set your watch to how they all work and what the metrics are. But like, there you have to fight a little bit of the what I would call, I guess, just cynicism. Just people
Mhm.
being like, I'm sick of it all. I'm sick of
Yeah.
seeing colors. I'm sick of a big sky laser. There's
Yeah.
hallmarks people are sick of, and it's like, tropes and uh not the overly familiar, but certainly the like the tired and overplayed. Um, I don't know if any of those movies could have been the straw that breaks the camel's back. I hope Superman isn't one of them, because he's kind of like the original. Like
Yeah.
if anything should embody or subvert any of those tropes and ideas, it should be this movie, because
Mhm.
it's Superman. Um, I don't know. It's interesting because, like, for me, like I remember seeing those Spider-Man movies, like all the Raimi movies, where people are
Mhm.
like, you know, there's that line that Aunt May has where she's like, "You're not Superman." And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, but you're sure treating him like it." The whole
Yeah.
movie, like to the point where he literally like runs against the crowd, opening his shirt to reveal a
Yep.
spider. How iconic!
Yeah.
But like to the point where in the third movie, every movie, he
Like,
lands in front of an American flag,
yep.
and
Yep.
people are like worshiping him in a way that like Spider-Man should absolutely never be worshipped.
Mhm.
Or like, oh, thank God he's here. Hopefully his ability to stick to walls will
Yeah.
deliver us from our own like hubris and entropy. Like, no. But Superman should be able to do those things.
Yeah.
Should give
Yeah.
people that kind of like hope, that generic or general overall hope that
Yeah.
these heroes have all kind of been trying to occupy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
Yeah.
Marvel's been kind of chasing it, and the closest thing we got was like Captain America.
Mhm. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It is
And he
Superman.
quit to get laid.
Exactly. He was like, "I'm done. I thank you. I saved the universe. I'm good." Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I think, yeah, it's getting play. The trailer's getting play. It's Superman. I think there's a chance that this does really well, but also hopefully it's not just that it does well, but it sets up the universe in a good way.
Yeah. I,
Yeah.
I should say, just to kind of not date this episode terribly,
Yeah.
uh, Andy Muschietti
Yeah.
said on a radio show about an hour ago
Oh,
that
wow.
Robert Pattinson is not Batman in the DC universe.
Sure.
He said,
Uh-huh.
quote, the Batman of Matt Reeves is obviously not from the new universe.
Mhm. Sure.
Why would you put anyone in this position?
Yeah.
Why would you make everyone's job harder? Not
Yeah.
just because he's saying things I don't want to hear, but also because, like, I mean, sir, you are the most replaceable
Mhm. Yeah. Anybody on here?
director of The Flash and
Yeah.
the It franchise.
Yep.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
But just to put a button on it, it is not a foregone conclusion that Robert Pattinson is Batman, but it certainly is in our hearts.
Yeah.
DJ and I hope that Robert Pattinson is the Batman of this
We
universe.
hope and we pray. We'll see.
And if they want to make a Brave and the Bold movie, it doesn't have to be starring Damian.
Mm-hmm.
Brave and the Bold never meant Batman and Robin. It meant Batman and another superhero.
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
if you want to like really blow our minds, maybe Brave and the Bold is a placeholder title and it's actually called World's Finest and it's an effing Superman Batman team up movie.
Dude, let's do it, man. Let's do
Right?
it.
Come
Let's do it. Let's see Corn's fight. And that, yeah, man. We'll see. And who knows if this does well, maybe this Brave and the Bold movie. I there's part of me that is a little bummed that it's like, okay, so if Dick Grayson and Jason Todd get a team up movie and Damian's in our Batman movie, what about the best Robin? What about Tim Drake? What about
Tim is never gonna get a movie. Like Tim's time is over.
Dude, it bums me out, man. Again,
I know, me too. I love Tim.
Going through that Kyle Rayner thing, I was like, I actually think some of our most fertile ground is in this for these stories is the 90s, and we're just skipping it. We're just gonna straight skip it.
Because in the 90s we were like very unprecious, and we were like, just make something new. We all want to see something new. New Ray, new Robin, new everybody.
Yeah, and it's and a lot of it, like there's a reason why every Robin costume since has been the Tim Drake costume. There's a reason for that. And again with reading it, the audacity of making, and I think it's smart, man, because the truth is, personally, I think Hal and Barry are boring. They come from an era where you're kind of your standard issue superhero guy, and the audacity of making him lose it and kill all of the people he worked with, like reading them, like this is. But there's sorry not to get off on this, but like there's what is it, Emerald Twilight? There's an issue after Coast City's been destroyed, and he kind of like reconstructs it with his ring and is having conversations with people. I'm like, this is actually really good. This is actually really good.
It's really cool. No,
like
it's great.
All of his characters actually really compelling. And the last person he fights is Sinestro. It's like, this actually, there's some, and who knows, like maybe we'll get a similar version of that, but now instead of Kyle, it'll be John Stewart, which would bum me out. Other than, again, I'm hot off Rebel Ridge, so it's like, if this is the direction we're putting John Stewart in, I sign me up. I'm all in.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
So, but it's like, yeah, again, it's Green Lantern. Who knows? Maybe if we get a season 2, Kyle will show up in that, which is fine. But there's something. Again, just like there's something special to when Miles is the Spider-Man of his universe. Right? There's something special when it's just Kyle. That's it. But we'll see.
I agree. It's an interesting world we're in. I'm really excited. I'm giving myself permission to be excited and to get hyped about this universe. It's really fun to talk about like what could be.
Yeah.
With the actual promise of something, as opposed to being like, well, that failed. What would we have done differently? No. Like, this is more like, oh, what will they do? How will they do it? Like, hopefully they watch. Maybe they'll get a couple of pointers.
Yeah. Hey, check us out. James Gunn, sound off in the comments.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to write it. I just want to be there. But yeah. DJ, thanks for being here. Thanks for bringing your trademark wit and insight into this conversation. And for those of you who are not familiar with DJ, which of course you should be by now, where can the folks find you and what you're working on right now, man?
You can find me at youtube.com/onlystupidanswers. I do a weekly show with Roxy Stryer. I think the next one coming up, as of this recording, we're going to be talking about Squid Game Season 2. We're coming back from our break. But if you want to see, and on that channel as well, you can see episodes of Spider-Versity and Mutant Academy, where Sal and I are going through the Spider-Man movies and shows, or the X-Men movies and shows, respectively. But we have a current show on my personal channel, youtube.com/DJ Talks Trash, where we're going through Krypton Academy. We just talked about the first 3 Christopher Reeve Superman movies. And we're going through all the Superman movies so far, leading up to James Gunn's Superman coming out next year, or this year now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
God. So check all that stuff out. And the best place to get both Mutant Academy and Spider-Versity is at patreon.com/onlystupidanswers. So check it out, baby.
Yeah, baby. Come on. But until then, we want to thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys next time here on ComicPop Returns. I'm Sal. It's DJ. So long, everybody.